Good evening, friends. This is Angela with Wildvioletsart. I'm here with you again with Marvelous Monday. Mondays don't have a whole lot going for them normally, so I thought I'd add something special to it, and I'm so glad you've joined me tonight. So again, I'm going through my series of beginner techniques. This is the fifth of the series, and we're going to use a little more complicated stamp set, but it doesn't mean that it can't still be really simple for the beginner stamper. But before we get there, I wanted to share with you some new product that Stampin' Up! Has that's exclusive just for a short period of time. So let's get to that. All right, so the Fitting Florets is a new collection of stamps, dies, paper, and embellishments. And as you can see, there's all kinds of really beautiful items that go with this. So this is the framed florets bundle, and let me show you the dies. I think I've showed these to you guys before, but just in case you don't remember, we're going to use the framed florets stamp set tonight. But you can see they've got these gorgeous dies, and the dies work with a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I haven't gotten there yet, but this is one of the bundles. The bundle is $54, but if you want just the stamp set is $23, and it's just beautiful. It's got gorgeous sentiments. The font is beautiful. The florals, of course, I'm always happy to use florals. And then there's dies that match the stamp set. So like this die matches, it would cut out this image. This die would cut out this image. So you can see that when you stamp the image or you color it, then there's dies that go with it that will cut it out. This one goes with that one. Got this little sprig here. Sorry, that was kitty hair. You don't need that. There's one for this one. There's one for this one as well. And then, of course, you've got these dies that do the frames. And there's also different other sprigs that are not necessarily part of the stamp set. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how the dies work with the stamp set. So it's really beautiful. Okay, and then along with this collection, along with this stamp set and dies, they have these embellishments, which are gold swirled embellishments, and then they have all this beautiful cardstock. So you can see all these different patterns that are just really beautiful, and a little bit of a Christmas theme, and I'll explain that in a minute. And then different florals, another one that has kind of a Christmas look to it. This one as well. And then, of course, this one. And the reason is because they have this exclusive stamp set that's only available until January 4th. So it's a beautiful Merry Christmas from all of us. Noel, fa la la, 'tis the season to be jolly. From our home to yours, may this season be filled with peace and joy. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Now, I've had a lot of fun playing with this stamp set, and I just wanted to show you some of the ideas. So you can go from beginners, and this is the gold swirls. You can see that they're very pretty. Beginner stamp set, or beginner cards to casual, avid, or artfully avid. So this is one of the frame dies. This I got in a swap, and so you can see it's one of the frames. And this is some of the cardstock. And then this one, these cute little hearts, that is one of the frame dies. And then, of course, using the frame die to cut out that opening, and then it's 3D. So it's really fun. And then this one is using, again, that card, that same paper, but this is a little more on the artfully avid. So she's used some of the foliage, a bow, and the embellishments. She's popped it up, used more dies for the cardstock. So, and of course, this one is definitely more artfully avid. And this is not using the Christmas, but this is using the stamp set that we're going to use today. So these were fussy cut. I used the frame dies, added a bow, fussy cut around the verse. This one, again, we're using the frames for the verse, fussy cut. This one, actually, you'll find that the dies match some of the cardstock. Just to give you an example, this cardstock here, so this die actually cuts out all of these flowers that are in this shape. So it's this one or it's this one. And then the two dies, one of the dies matches this flower here as well. So it gives you some choices when you're, and it looks like this little green one works with the small die as well. So it looks like there's like 3 images that you can cut out. Let's see if I can get this to work. No, maybe this one doesn't work with that one. So anyway, at least 2 of the images can be cut out with the dies. Okay, so that's the cardstock. And then here's some examples. Now here's one without the cardstock. And this was watercolored. So you can see that I love to watercolor, and this is with a stamped darker image around the outside. And this one is with a lighter image, and it's a no-line stamp watercoloring technique. These are a little more advanced, and I'll be showing you these techniques as we get further down the line. But aren't these beautiful cards? Just, oh, it's going to be hard to give them away. Okay. So when I'm speaking about a limited time, so this entire suite or collection, which again is the cardstock, the dies, the Christmas stamp set, the embellishments, and this stamp set are all $97.50 for the entire collection. And that is only good until the 4th of January. However, this stamp set and the dies is going to be carrying over to the new mini catalog that starts in January. So I can't open this up and show you, but this bundle right here is at a discount. So if you want to purchase that bundle, I've given you a link for that, and you can take a look at it. And if you purchase that, or if you purchase the bundle, I'll send you a package of these flower adhesive embellishments. They're really cute. They're actually in silver, gold, and brass. So just a really pretty embellishment. Okay, so let's get to what we're going to be making. Now, I know that looked really complicated, but I promise you what we're going to be doing is fun, it can be beautiful, and it doesn't have to be quite that complicated. All right, so as you can recall, what I typically do is I start with an 8.5 by 11, and I will use my scoring tool to score at 4 1/4, and then I can use my cutter to cut at 5 1/2, and I have the makings for 2 cards. So we'll get started on that. Okay, so when I talk about watermarking or tone-on-tone stamping, there's a couple different ways that you can do it. So Versamark is really great for heat embossing, and I'll show that to you in the future. But it's just a translucent ink that just leaves like a little bit of an oily residue, and it's very lightly visible right now, but as it dries, you'll see that it gets a little darker. So if you know what a watermark is on really expensive cardstock or paper, you'll see, if you hold it up to the light, you'll see an image of the producer of that paper. And that's what a watermark is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stamp this really pretty flower image all around the edge of my paper. And you can see that I'm stamping off the edge. That's a great way to make it look like you've got patterned paper. So you don't always have to buy beautiful patterned paper to get gorgeous cardstock. So I'm just going to keep stamping in different directions using this Versamark. And this is a way for you to get more out of maybe a tighter budget. All you need is the Versamark, and you can have any color cardstock that you want and still get really beautiful images. So as you can see, isn't that pretty? Let's get it up there so you can see. It's a really beautiful pattern. So it looks like patterned paper when you're all done. Okay. Now I'm going to do some more stamping on this because I'm going to put a greeting on here. And let's use the thank you with all my heart, because I do believe that'll fit. Nope, not quite. I don't think it'll fit that punch. Let's see. For a very special day, I think. Let's see if this one will fit in there. Nope. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to print, or I'm going to stamp the verse in a darker ink. So this is balmy blue paper and this is balmy blue ink, but I'm using Versamark, and I'm just going to stamp in navy blue, and then I'm going to punch out, and this is the punch that we used when we were using the Lovely and Lasting stamp set. Okay. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of white twine and create a bow. So we've learned all these things. I'm going to use some dimensionals to pop up my verse, put it in the middle. Before I do that though, I want to use the bone folder to make sure that my card lays down flat. It looks like I missed one area on the front of my card. Okay. And then I can add some embellishments, and these are the gold swirls that come with the okay. So just a simple, beautiful card. Now I'm going to show you how to do the same thing as this card, but we're going to use the Balmy Blue stamp set or stamp pad. So same thing, I'm going to add this really beautiful, and this is tone on tone, so it's a little darker. And it doesn't really matter which way that you stamp it, it's still going to turn out really pretty. And I like stamping off the edge because it just makes it look like the pattern was much bigger when you started. Okay, now when I was die cutting some other items, this is one of the centers from the frames, and you can see it's got this really pretty embossing edge. And then here's one that's just in white, that's a little smaller, and it's just been cut really nicely. So I can use this for a verse instead. And again, I'm going to use this blue ink, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp some off and just have it be a much lighter. And then I can put my verse in the middle in a darker color, so it really pops nicely. And then we'll put this on the front of our card. We'll put a bow, and maybe instead of doing a little bow, I'll make a little bigger one, and we'll put it behind the oops, a little uneven. I like my tails to be a little more even. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick it down with the embellishments, or with the dimensionals. Okay. Let's make the bow a little bit bigger. Just so it's tucked under. Yeah. Maybe I'll just glue it to the front again. Just going to put a little dot of glue and adhere my bow. And then we'll add another couple of embellishments. So just, if you're wondering why I always put 3 embellishments or 5, I like to put uneven numbers, and I like it to be in a little triangle. These are some things I learned when I was in art class, and it just makes a better composition. So you can see these are really pretty. This has got a much more subtle look. And this one is, I think, a little more elegant just because we've got a stamped off lighter version of this really pretty ink. Now, you can get the same effect as this one by doing the stamping off again. So if you were to stamp off and then stamp on here, you'd get a lot more of a subtle, much more like the Versamark. So this is more like the watermark that I got with the Versamark. So let me just show these so you can see the comparison. So it's really close to the same. So this is with a stamped off of the Balmy Blue, and this is with the Versamark. And this is the tone on tone. So this is just a card front, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use another label that I got. And again, I'll stamp off the color, and I'm going to do it even a little bit more subtle. Oops, that one should have been a little bit lighter. And then I'm going to come back again with the Night of Navy for the verse. Clean up my stamps. And this one, I'm not sure I'm gonna put ribbon on it. I think this one I'll just, or twine. I think I'll just leave it with just the embellishments. And I can add this to a regular card base. So here we are, 3 little cards, just took a few minutes. So again, this is the watermark with the stamped off Balmy Blue. This is watermark with the Versamark, and this is tone on tone with the Balmy Blue ink on the Balmy Blue cardstock. So thank you so much for joining me again today. I know these are quick and easy. Oh, I forgot the envelope. That's what I forgot. I tend to do that. So one of the things that the founder of Stampin' Up! Says all the time is never a naked envelope. So I'm going to add some really pretty color to the envelope corner. That pretty? And then you can just slip your little card in there. Or if you want, you can add the really pretty design to the envelope flap. And again, I'm stamping off the edge. That's why it's always good to have something to work on. Isn't that pretty? So again, one of these could just slip right in there, and it's beautiful. So be sure to take a look at the beautiful framed Florets stamp set. You can see it just makes stunning cards, super easy. You don't have to get real complicated with it. It can be just really simple, just one ink, one cardstock color. It doesn't really matter. And you can just get really beautiful anytime greetings. This could be for a birthday, or it could be for a wedding. So I hope you enjoyed this. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to click subscribe or like and share with your friends. And I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more on stamping techniques for the beginner. I look forward to seeing you next Monday. Thanks for joining me.